Welcome back to my kitchen. Tonight I'm super excited because I am always looking for a good idea for fish, and I love fish. Today we're having trout fillets loaded with vegetables that are covered in a bacon vinaigrette. It is delicious. I'm Sicilian and I come from fishermen, and I love to eat fish, but I always have sort of trouble trying to figure out how to make fish a million different ways. I mean, I shouldn't, but I do. And then I remembered I was in wine country one time and this chef made this dish, and I think I could recreate it, or some version of it. It's probably fish in a way that you have never seen it before, and it is so good. It's going to make your tracker happy. It's going to make your family happy. It's going to make your guests happy. This is a really good one. This recipe has a few more steps than some of my other recipes, because one of the things I like to do is make the veg kind of individually and toss them together after each one is cooked, because I think it's better that way. I mean, mushrooms don't cook the same way as Swiss chard, don't cook the same way as an onion, etc. So I do them separately, and then we blend them together at the end with the dressing. You know, not every dinner needs to get onto the plate in 5 minutes. Sometimes there's a beautiful ritual to just making a nice dinner. This isn't terribly long, it's not terribly hard, but it's not a, it's not a 5-minute meal. It's not a 2-ingredient meal, and that's okay. And I'm gonna be here to hold your hand through the whole thing, so don't you worry. I just chopped up my bacon, and I'm doing my mushrooms. And as you know, I like to prep my ingredients kind of ahead of time and then go to the stove. This one is done on the stove. Take your time, enjoy your time in the kitchen. Eating dinner, eating any meal, should feel like a treat to yourself. It should feel like wonderful to nourish your body with something delicious. And it should feel a little indulgent, Take the time for yourself. Self-care, underrated. So now I'm just stripping some thyme leaves. And what I want to say too is this is my version of a veggie loaded trout fillet, but you can use whatever you have in your fridge. You have bell peppers and you want to use those. If you have zucchini, if you have broccoli, whatever you want to use it. The ingredients I'm using today, I have, and I just think they'll be really delicious, but go for it. I'm just here trying to provide inspiration, but it's your kitchen, your house, your rules, so make whatever you want. This is a really good dish to make when you're just trying to use up some stuff in your fridge. So cook up some of that stuff that's sitting around that you just want to chop and use. One of the reasons I make the dish this way is because I just think that certain seasonings go with certain vegetables. I love thyme with mushrooms. I love garlic with mushrooms. I love onions and celery together. If you have a combo that you like say you love to put your bell peppers with Slap Your Mama seasoning, which is delicious, do that. But do it separate, because that way, even though when it all comes together in the bowl at the end, the bell peppers are cooked the way you want just those bell peppers to be cooked. So that's the reason why I kind of do it this way, so that each one gets its own moment. Okay, I'm going in for this onion. I'm going in for the onion. And Swiss chard is just one of those vegetables that is so good. And maybe you're not used to cooking with Swiss chard, but if you see it at the grocery store and it's just leafy and beautiful and, gorgeous, buy it. The rainbow chard tastes as good as the plain one. They're pretty much the same. This is, I think, a very underrated vegetable. When I see it and it's just like that good, I would rather use it than kale, than spinach. It has a very mild flavor, and I just cleaned them all really, really well. And the stem on a Swiss chard is not that tough, so you don't have to worry about it as much as like you would a collard green. For this dish, I want them to be just chopped. I'm doing this with fish today, but you can do it with chicken. You can do it with tofu. You can do it with any protein you like. It's a super versatile approach for a one-dish meal. And if you don't like bacon, then don't use the bacon vinaigrette. If you have another dressing that goes better with the ingredients that you have in your house that you want to use for the dish, use that. There are no rules. This is only for inspiration, but I really hope you try my version. It is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I never said I was a humble cook. I'm really not a humble cook. That's the truth. I think I'm pretty good. What's really nice about this dish is that it all does happen in the same pan. If you want to get it done quicker, you can use multiple pans to get this done, but I'm just here at my stove and I'm just going to use the one pan to do it all. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with my bacon. I want it to get crispy and I want that bacon fat for my dressing. So that is 4 slices of bacon. And this recipe is going to serve 4 people. Okay, that bacon is crispy, so I'm gonna pull it out with this slotted spoon and put it in this little bowl. I'm not worried about draining it because, you know, I'm using the bacon grease for the dressing. Okay, and then what I did is I just poured that bacon grease into this bowl so I can get my dressing started. This is gonna be like 2 tablespoons of bacon grease, which is perfect. Okay, so in the same pan, it's got a little bit of oil still on it. That's enough for this. I'm going to go ahead and put my mushrooms. I always say you have to season your food along the way. So the littlest bit of salt, because mushrooms are going to cook down, and you don't want to give them too much salt while they are still plump like this, because then they'll be too salty when they reduce in size. And I'm going to put in that thyme that I chopped. And this is on about medium heat. So I'm just going to let these mushrooms get nice and brown. And I'm also going to give my mushrooms a little bit of cracked black pepper. And don't worry if the pan looks a little dry, because mushrooms are like sponges. Even if you put 2 tablespoons of oil in this pan, the first thing the mushrooms are gonna do is absorb all that oil. And then they let it back out as they cook. You might be thinking, wow, she didn't really leave enough of that bacon grease in this pan to do the mushrooms, but I think I did. Now what I think I'm gonna do is go ahead and add the garlic. I like the garlic with the mushrooms. I'm just gonna put that in. We don't want the garlic to burn, so I kind of put it in a little bit after the mushrooms were cooked. Oh man, that is so nice. It smells really good. You could literally stop with this as its own side dish for chicken or steak or any of your proteins, because like mushrooms sauteed with garlic and thyme and salt and pepper in a little bit of, you know, bacon fat or olive oil is a beautiful thing to top things with. Okay, I think these mushrooms are done to my liking. They're nice and browned. I'm just gonna remove these to this bowl, which is going to be the beginning of my salad. And the nonstick skillet makes it really nice, easy. And I know I'm using a little metal on my nonstick, but I'm not worried about it. I'm not beating it up. Okay, so in the same skillet, I'm gonna put a teaspoon of oil. So here I have the red onion that I chopped and the celery that I chopped. It was 2 stalks of celery and like the size of a medium red onion. Give these guys a little bit of salt, seasoning along the way. And normally I cook things to translucent or soft, but in this case, I kind of want these to brown up a little bit, so they're gonna go for a little while. I'm going to give them some cracked black pepper. The flavor combo of onions and celery is so good. And celery is not just for, you know, aromatics. It's a really good vegetable. It adds a lot to your salads. You can eat it by itself, and it's just delicious. Okay, look, it's getting a little bit roasty and brown. So to this, I'm gonna add some chopped parsley. I love the taste of parsley, and I think the parsley goes really well with the celery and the onion. I'm gonna put that parsley in there for the next layer of flavor. The celery still has a bit of a bite to it, and the parsley is still a little bright. So I think this is ready for me to put with my mushrooms. Okay, second layer done in there with those mushrooms. And now I'm gonna add another teaspoon of olive oil. And then I'm gonna add my Swiss chard. And this cooks really fast. And just like with spinach or anything else, I do wait to salt this until it has wilted, because definitely you do not want to salt this volume of Swiss chard or it's going to be way too salty. And now that it's like about that size, I'll add a little bit of salt. And I'm gonna add a little pepper. And I'm gonna pull the Swiss chard out, put it in the bowl with the rest of the veg. Lots of good flavors in there. The last thing I have to do is my fish. I'm just putting another teaspoon of olive oil in the pan. And I'm gonna make sure that this is pretty well distributed around this pan. And here are my trout fillets, and I cut each one in half. This is 1 pound. And all I did was season them with salt and pepper, because wow, there's enough flavor in the topping. And I'm just laying them meat side down. And this fish is really pretty thin, and it's not gonna take very long to cook. Okay, let's check our fish. Yeah, that's good. Nice and brown. Okay, this cooked maybe like 3-4 minutes on each side. This fish is cooked. I'm just going to put that on this plate. So now we have our cooked veg, we have our cooked fish, we've got our cooked bacon, and all we have to do is make the dressing. So I'm gonna use Dijon mustard, and I'm just using a teaspoon. I'm also gonna do a teaspoon of honey, different teaspoon. Don't want the mustard in the honey. And then I'm gonna use 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. I'm gonna get my whisk and go in on that. I'm not gonna season this with salt and pepper. I'm not gonna do that before I put it in the veg, because all the veg is seasoned already with salt and pepper, and bacon can be a little salty. So I'm gonna wait and taste for seasoning until everything is mixed together. Okay, give it a little taste. That tastes good. Here I have some arugula, and I'm just gonna add like a handful. And then I'm gonna add my bacon, toss this together. And then I'm gonna add my dressing. And then an extra layer of flavor. Oh, look at that, it looks so good. So now I'm gonna taste it to make sure it's good. Wow, that was really good. I think I'm gonna add just the tiniest pinch of salt to brighten it up a little bit, but it really doesn't need much. Okay, so there is my vegetable mixture all put together. All I'm gonna do is put this on top of this fish. Wow. And yeah, it's a lot, but you want it to be a lot because it's a whole meal. And wouldn't that be just a beautiful thing to put on the table? Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna sneak a taste, and I'm just gonna sneak it from over here. A little bit of fish, a little bit of mushroom, a little bit of bacon, a little bit of arugula. Oh, that is so good. The fish is cooked. It's not fishy at all, at all. It's serving as a very good vehicle for all these vegetables that I so carefully cooked individually. And it makes a difference because the mushrooms taste so nice because I cooked them by themselves. And the bacon is crispy. And the salad dressing tastes really nice. This is a very good dinner. This is impressive. That's what I would say. You make this and you tell your people. You tell them, I learned how to make this one on the internet. I hope you try veggie loaded trout fillets with bacon vinaigrette. This is amazing. Very, very good. So not boring.